Hi. So today we have a very dynamic husband-wife duo who set up a fairly good practice in Calcutta, the firm of chartered accountants. They'll talk about it more as this conversation ensues. So since the CA final results were out recently and a lot of youngsters are actually doubtful about whether they should take the plunge right away or they should spend some time in the corporate world. So Neha and Nikhil, Neha had cracked Bharat Petroleum from campus, did not join job at all. Nikhil, article chief from PwC Calcutta, then joined Tata Steel, was posted in Odisha, and then quit it. And they both started a practice in April 23rd, 2024,
24.
2014. So now we are 10 years into the practice. So just tell us quickly about your formative years, maybe a couple of minutes for each, and then we'll plunge into practice related questions.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Nikhil Agarwala. So I did my articleship from PwC. I joined Tata Steel for a year, was posted in Kharagpur, but never felt at home. Always wanted to do something of my own. I consider practice as a chartered accountant's own startup. So was fortunate to have Neha also at that time who wanted to do the same things, and hence our goals aligned on the same path.
Hi, I'm Neha. So I belong to a family of chartered accountants. I've had chartered accountants around me all the time, which also made it very clear for me that this is, a practice is what I wanted to do because I was never interested in doing a job in a particular role. Consultancy was always something that, I was always interested in this and I wanted to do multiple things. And I thought that having my own practice will allow me to take that plunge.
So when you took the plunge, Neha, you had not tasted salary, but Nikhil had tasted salary for quite some time. So how easy was it to relinquish that dopamine of the salary
It's never
SMS?
easy. It is never easy, obviously, to stop that habit of getting a message on your mobile every first of the month. But I think that as individuals, we overestimate our needs, and we have to create a bifurcation between our wants and our needs. Once you know that what are your basic needs, and you are focused on creating a long-term, form for yourself, the path becomes easy. So you have to be at ease until you have to be ease, because obviously when you're starting something new, there will be some dry months. So you cannot, do comparison between bananas and bananas. That's not the right comparison.
Okay, April 2024, first steps of opening a firm. How is it? You go to ICI, register a firm. What else? You
Yes,
open an office
yes.
straight away. You take a co-working
No,
space, sit at a friend's
no.
place.
So again, that's again depends on person to person. So we both never liked working from home, because at work there are 10 sorts of distractions there. So what I will suggest whoever wants to start a firm is to definitely go in for a co-working space. It's easy, it's flexible. You can start with 2 seats, take it as you grow along the firm. You do not have to worry about the management of the admin expense. You do not have to invest in a greater amount of capital. So you will be at ease. So tomorrow, if you start with a 4 seater and you want to scale it, or you want to even curve it, so that is flexible there, and you get a point where you can meet people. And co-working, what benefit it also does is that once you join a co-working and everyone knows there's a C in the house, so automatically some kind of
Word of
client,
mouth or some referrals happen.
exactly, will start coming to it.
How did you get your first client, Neha?
It was a long process, honestly. We did not expect it to be so long. So we used to, it required a lot of networking. And with generally with networking, as they say, once you meet 10 people, maybe one person converts. So initially there was a lot of disappointment because every time you met a person, you expected them to convert. And then more often than not, they would not convert. And then our first client was maybe 6 months after we started our practice. And it was a
Six
very small
months.
client. Yeah, like a proper client. I'm not talking about, one odd job, but our first fixed client was maybe 6 months after we started our firm. And it was a small assignment, in terms of a monthly retainer. And it was a small retainership client. But as the client grew, I mean, we're delighted that we said yes to that client then because in the coming next 4, 5 years, they kind of became one of our biggest clients. So
Maybe
one,
growing what,
another
10x from your initial number?
20x maybe.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. So one learning is that even if someone comes and says, okay, I'm going to offer just time 25, 30,000 per annum, and you do my basic bookkeeping, idea should be to get that hook and get into that firm's scheme of things.
Because see, you're in a profession where you need to meet a lot of people, right? And once you work for a client, there's also word of mouth that starts. If they like your work, they probably recommend you to their friends, their connections in the industry. And a lot of times, that sets the ball rolling. And then you don't realize sometimes, even without active marketing, then the passive marketing gets you work. Um, so I'd say when you're into practice, you should mostly try to say yes to assignments where you see the client can grow in the future.
And we all need to understand one thing also, the services of a chartered accountant in today's time with so much of digitalization and formalization of economy is indispensable. We've had instances where we said yes to a client for a simple income tax return filing, but at the end, by God's grace, they referred us to clients who had much more complex assignments, and that is probably where the word of mouth referral comes into. One thing is there are two types of clients. There's two types of marketing, we all know, the push marketing and the pull marketing. So, in push marketing, always you will be at the receiving end in terms of, determining your pricing for the assignment. But if a client naturally comes to you, so then it's more of an even stage
Hmm.
where you do not have to worry about the pricing power. So pricing power is also an important part of assignments, because as freshers, most of you all will everyone will take you for granted, and probably try to give you probably a much lesser
There'll be
rate what.
pricing problems, correct. So, for example, what had been your customer outreach strategy? Who were the people whom you reached out to? How did you reach out to? 2014, then how did that journey changed in 2019 and 2024? Is it like all inbound? Do you still meet people? How do you get those what is your top of the funnel strategy? How do you get more acquisitions? If you could tell, and
So
that is also within the code of conduct, because we cannot really go for some active
absolutely,
marketing.
absolutely, absolutely. So 2014, as we stated, Neha stated, we started with family and friends. We started picking up small freelance assignment. We also made the mistake of, as a fresher, of rejecting a lot of small work, because as you told, both of us were really ambitious and we really wanted to set the world on fire and do hardcore consultancy job. But reality bit us very fast, and thankfully we learned from our mistakes very quickly and started saying yes to more and more people. So as I said that, once you have an initial round of clients, the first few clients, then those clients will only start referring you. And what I would say that is, when you have a couple of clients, do make it a point and give them a monthly visit. Do not stick to your role. For example, if a client has given you an assignment of bookkeeping, do their work, but go and meet them offline once, because you try to understand what is happening. You probably get to feel that, what more you can add value to the services. In today's times, a CA role is not limited to signing balance sheets and, filing statutory returns. The client might require, they might be bidding for a project, they might require help in that. Probably a client might want to set up an entity. So how they do it, an LLP versus a partnership. So try and meet more and more people. Make it a point that every week you meet at least a couple of people. And when you're meeting someone, don't have that expectation, okay, I'm meeting Anurag today, so I'm going to convert him as a client today. Just meet him to understand, probably try to take in more, and in destiny's terms, you will definitely convert it by law of probabilities.
As a husband wife duo, how do you split responsibilities in the office? Like, is it like, okay, Nikhil is going to be have the feet on the ground, meet people, Neha is going to take care of the ops? How have you all split the whole responsibility matrix?
You're
So
going to take
yeah,
it.
so we have our own division. So Neha looks after taxation, both international and GST. I look after the accounting part, and I look after we have the CFO on higher model. So I look after there. Yes, there will be overlaps of personal and professional relationship, but once your roles are clearly defined, so then it actually helps. So that clarity needs to be there in the mind.
And being husband wife, does it help or is it like a risky thing? Should a husband
I
and
think
wife practice
mostly
together?
it's a mixed bag. Yeah, it's like so on some days you'll be like, okay, it was a good thing, and then there are some days you
And
just
why
feel like
bad
it's the
and why
worst.
good?
Bad because you can there
You
can
need
be
to hope.
ego.
You need to go home.
Yeah, and there can be ego problems, right? You always want someone to have someone has a final say. So it's much better now. Say when you just start, now that we have a reasonable establishment, so we have enough clients to be able to divide our roles also. So when you just start and you just start getting work, everybody is doing the same work because you know that time it was more difficult because we didn't have a clear well defined role. We did not know how to differentiate between personal and professional life, and now it's been 10 years. Now we've kind of, I'd say, understood how to
How
manage
did you
that.
hire your first employee? Because that would also have been a difficult thing in that initial stage. Even an article asks a lot of questions. Tell me about your firm. Do you have enough work to give to me, etc. What was your strategy
So
there?
I'll probably say hiring people is more tough than getting clients. My experience has been that you will get work, but what if you get work and you cannot execute it because you have 8 to 10 hours in a day? So you obviously need to rely on your team. In a service industry, your team is your machine, your team is your asset. So yes, initially, we start, as you told, obviously, no one would want to start with a fresher, but our first set of employees, probably I would say, uh, was to again mutual references and again family friends. So once you have those initial round of friends, you've got a lot of modern platforms in today's time, especially if you want an article, there's an institute. Every city has their own institute building. You can go up and give notices. There's a lot of apps now where you can get up, just not articles. You can get BCom grads, interns doing there. You've got sometimes it as fresher it will be difficult, but there are a lot of HR agencies also who give
Hmm.
hiring. So you have to be open. It's difficult to digest that, as a fresher, why do I give someone a money to hire resources? But you have to be open and flexible at the time that you have to invest and build a team.
You talked about a very interesting concept, dry month, wherein you have no business in the month at an initial stage. And let's say you've already taken on board a couple of people, you have to pay them salaries. Now, that can be quite a traumatic experience in terms of you not earning, plus you're paying salary to other people, and that dry month never, that dry run is not ending only. So, how does, and that is something why we are doing this podcast is to take people through that real aspects of running a practice, because that's where the challenge lies, which dissuades a lot of people from actually taking the plunge that अरे क्लाइंट नहीं मिला तो क्या होगा, अरे कोई आर्टिकल ही नहीं आया तो क्या होगा, काम नहीं कर पाए तो क्या होगा. So yes, tell us about that dry months. How does, what is the mitigative strategy for that?
See, obviously, there is some sort of savings which will happen when you start getting your first clients. As you told, dry months will be accompanied by a few months where you'll get a considerable amount of
Per months.
money per month as well. So what we used to do in our dry months is that by staying busy, I really feel that if you're staying busy, you will be able to sail through it, start building templates, have knowledge sessions in your office. Because and again, a CA firm is dependent on knowledge and your resources. So you don't want when the next client comes, you're short of templates, you don't know how to function. Try and meet more people, try and understand that what kind of services is going on the market. Because honestly, in today's time, the CA can offer a buffet of services. It's up to you. You want to choose that, okay, this is the service which I really want to build my practice on.
Perfect. So when we talked about partnership with others, how do you have an ecosystem, like the typical chartered accountant in practice is not heard of being a very collaborative person, and that's what the typical notion in the market is, because it's like
So for
I,
that,
me, myself. So how have you all collaborated with other people? Has that ecosystem worked for you? That's a very critical part.
yes, 100%. So see, we are one of our primary service that we provide is a virtual CFO service. When we're doing something like that, the client comes to you for every single requirement that they have. So if today I am not dealing into an NCLT matter, I do need to have people that I have networked with, or network firms that I will pass on that assignment to. So we have all sorts of professionals, be it company secretaries, lawyers, labor law professionals. We have tie-ups with all of them, because when a client comes to you, it should be a one-stop solution for them. And we totally believe in collaboration, because one person cannot do it all. And you can't let the quality of your service suffer just because you're not open enough for collaboration with others.
So collaboration is one very key thing that I have also realized that for recently we had an ESIC matter for one of our clients. Now the point is that if you say that I don't handle ESI, they will go to someone else, and if that person handles both your work as
Yeah.
well as ESI, the client most often than not will say that I want that guy only
See,
because I don't want to handle people.
they want a convenience of a one-stop solution. Most clients will not want to go to one person for this matter and another person for they don't want to hire like five professionals to handle five different matters. So either you have a multi-partner, multidisciplinary firm, or you collaborate with other firms to be able to serve the client, on every aspect of
Where's the
their
risk that
requirement.
that other person takes away your client? How do you handle that risk?
See, that's never happened with us. Maybe we are fortunate. But yeah, see, if I'm outsourcing some assignment to a CS to handle, say, an NCLT matter, it's very difficult for that CS to take away my audit assignment, right? Or if I'm handing over a ESIC or PF person to do ESIC PF for this person, so they're mostly not doing accounts. So then also we are kind of maybe a little careful as
So
to,
maybe outsource that component which is not that big enough
right.
to entice
Right.
the
We're
whole
just
client.
outsourcing that component to a specific person who's only doing that. So that's probably helped us. We've not outsourced assignments to a full-fledged CA firm, who's also doing what we are doing.
I think that's
Uh,
risky. So that is what
we've not
someone has
had
to
to
be
do
careful.
that.
So
Yeah.
in probably layman's, if I tell you, is that if we are specialized in making starters and main course, we'll probably outsource the desserts or vice versa. So the idea is to create a buffet of complementary services, so that the client does not have to go here and there, and so that you also feel comfortable. Tomorrow when your client starts growing, suddenly they need, let's say we encounter a situation where one of our clients needed FDI services from an overseas body. So obviously, then you need people who are very thorough with FEMA. And again, what happens is that if you have got network, as I told you, in those dry months, start connecting with people and ensure that you know someone who does FEMA, you know someone who does NCLT. Every sort of services is covered, and this kind of is an embedded networking also. So we've also faced that our PF and ESI consultant have given some work which they don't do, and to us also. So it works, in the medium to long term, instead of having any inhibitions of, oh my God, my work might be taken by my fellow professional, it actually works the other way.
Has your practice evolved in terms of complexity of assignments over the years? In terms of, let's say, you would have started off with basic bookkeeping or return filing in 2014. Over the years, were you able to achieve that goal of your getting into more value added stuff, more consulting stuff? So, how has that transformation happened?
See, the most important thing is to delegate. Once you have a team, you should delegate the everyday assignments to your team so that you can move on to something more specialized. If you are constantly engaged in doing the day-to-day affairs of your company, you will possibly never even find the time. A lot of
Could you
times when
make that journey? I mean, were you able to evolve
yes,
in terms
yes.
of doing more complex stuff now?
Right. So a lot of times when your team is handling the basics of the assignments, then you can always spend more time with the client to understand what other requirements do they have. A lot of times clients themselves don't know whether they need a particular service from you. And only when you pitch that service to them do they realize that, okay, you could do that for me. And that is when we can add value to the client. Instead of
Nikhil, you
offering just
spoke
four.
about CFO on hire. So, what is that? I
Right.
mean, I think for a lot of people, this might be a new concept.
So basically, CFO on hire means that there are a lot of entrepreneurs today who are starting the business who do not have a fair idea of the finance and accounts. So instead of hiring a accounts personal, because even if your accountant hire an account person at the entry stage, he or she might not be able to carry out all the activities. So what we do is that we associate with them and act as the acting CFO. We just not look into the compliance part and the bookkeeping part. We also help them on various project evaluation. We are their CFO. So one stop, one
What
root
stopped them from
problem.
hiring a full-time CFO then?
Because if you're going to
Scale.
hire an experienced CFO, the bandwidth is obviously going to be in excess of somewhere at least a lakh per month is the basic which I'm talking again. So you need experienced people. You don't want people don't want to start off their work by giving works to freshers. Let's say you are bidding for a project and you want to do a cost evaluation. So you don't want that. So people are ready to pay a price rather than investing upfront for it.
So rather than having so this and these work streams will also emerge once in a blue moon, like a cost evaluation at a project beginning. So I would rather give it to a Nikhil who specializes in this rather than hiring someone and making that person become like a permanent cost for me. So that's a very interesting
More,
thing.
yeah, and more than that, basically what I say in a couple of lines, a CFO hire is an ecosystem. So we've created that ecosystem of, right from, setting up processes, how to onboard vendors, how to do the bookkeeping, how to have, SOPs in order to make payments, how to ensure that, the payment advice are received to the vendors as well, so that there are no unnecessary costs to the client for all these small things. So basically, we've tried to get the corporate setups in an SME firm so that the management does not have to worry on all these petty issues on a day-to-day
Very
basis. So I
interesting. I
think
think.
SOPs is very important.
And Neha, you specialize more in even stuff like international taxation. So how much is the kind of work that you get from in a non-Big Four setting also? And what are the
Oh,
kind of
so see,
assignments that happen?
so, a lot of work comes from our CFO and higher clients as well, because most of our clients for whom we are offering a complete service, they are all doing business internationally. A lot of our clients are not even based out of India, right? So, international taxation is constantly happening. Some of our clients have 100% export transactions, so it's not that I'm looking out for separate client base to do an international taxation assignments. Those come, when they come. But even our general client, a lot of clients have transfer pricing applicabilities. A lot of clients constantly make remittances outside. A lot of clients will have an ODI, FDI requirement coming in pretty regularly. So it's not been so difficult. It's a myth that you can only do these things once you're working with the big fours.
Correct. Yeah.
So,
So
one
ODI
very
and
another one very interesting thing, what I'll say is that when you talk about, how to get customers, so you have to be an on-job marketing guy. I'll quickly narrate you one incident of how we converted one client. So I was at my bank for some, my internal bank process. So at the other desk, so there was this person who wanted to remit money abroad, and he was getting confused, what the process is. The bank told him, so you need to get an 15 CACB done by a chartered accountant. And that is where I inquired with that gentleman, sir, I might help you on this. And that becomes it. So, conversations in public transport, conversations there, and this will only happen once you believe that, yes, you are here to make a mark of yourself. You have that confidence that come what may, I will make it. It will take some time, but I make it. One very interesting analogy is that today in this glamorous world of startups and all, I consider practice to be not less than a startup. And I will say it is a startup with the negatives of a startup minus. You don't need funding, you don't need money to sustain. You start small, build your capital, expand your infrastructure, and slowly you start getting it. Probably today what I really like is that today we might have a very small, what you call it, a bunch of clients, but today I know what is going in the economy. I know what is going in the garment industry. I know what is going in the metal industry. I know what is going in the service industry. And that is where you can provide, collaborative advantage to the clients. So we've also had instances where we've connected our clients as services for each other. So there was this client, they had acquired land and they wanted a geologist to help them, and that is where we helped them source services from another client of ours as well. So you have to be very what you call aware that how can you connect
Cross
people to
selling
each other.
often these emerge that for one client you
Yeah,
cross
you
sell
have
this.
to be proactive. You
You have
should
to be
know
very
what's
proactive. So
happening.
it's almost like a startup. Actually, you have to. It's not like that. Some khatas will come in your books, books of accounts, and you have to do accounting and file the returns.
That
I think we are well past that stage. A couple of last questions. How much is now digital as a component of your larger firm? How much is
so
non-Calcutta as a percentage of your firm? Because they are two very critical things.
I'll probably stay still approximately 20%. One-fifth of our revenue is coming from outside Calcutta.
Which is
And
good, which you cannot have thought,
which
you
is
could not have thought of in a pre-COVID era, maybe. But now with all that,
absolutely, absolutely. But again, I have a different stand to that as well. I feel that the city is also growing at an equal pace now. I really feel that more and more people are now wanting to have professionals. Some very simple data of the economy which I've just jotted down. If we have an analogy on that, you can understand what is going to be the future of practice. So the income tax department just came out with the data. This year, 7.5 crores ITR was filed. We are
yes,
a population of 140 plus. Okay. And another very interesting factor is that PAN Aadhaar linkage, which was not there and there was fine, the government has earned 2,200 crores as on November from that 1,000 rupees of linking PAN with Aadhaar. So you
okay.
can understand, divide 2,200 crores by 1,000 and you'll get the number of professionals there. With AIS, with digitalizations, with everything coming in there, I have a different stand where people are saying that everything is going to come in AIS. Why people would need CA to file their returns
Oh,
and
that is
manage
all
the
just
practice.
discouraging words,
It,
nothing.
it is the other way. It is going to get more, it has got more complex. Now you need to ensure that everything is reconciled. So this 7.5 crores in a population of 140 with advanced tax growing at 20%, I'm sure all of us are very, very smart and intelligent to understand where the volume is coming. And I don't consider this as a standalone service that just focus on ITR filing. A person who's going to do an ITR filing now or later, they are also going to require GST registrations, bookkeeping. Cloud accounting is one of our very thankfully we adopted to this platform very early. Cloud accounting is one of the major drivers is which is going to add, which actually happened during COVID when people who were on cloud accounting, they started to function the way it was.
So you will be surprised that more than 90% of our office is paperless even today, except
Oh,
for the
fantastic.
statutory requirements where you need to submit documents, get it signed, stamped. Apart from that, we don't have any papers in our office. Everything is digital.
Fantastic.
Uh,
That's
Everything is
music to
on
my
cloud.
ears.
Yeah, so we are I mean, I hope very soon we'll not even need to have some statutory
So
requirements
that's
of,
also
printing.
digitally signed. So really, it makes no
Yeah,
sense
so
to print.
except for those, I think we are 100% digital. We are not using now. I'm sometimes yesterday I made a work order for a client using Chat GPT in 5 minutes, which would normally take me 2 hours to make. So efficiency is when you have to you use technology to get better, and it's you don't look at it as a threat. So in the last 6 months, we've been using Chat GPT for every kind of repetitive work. Partnership deeds I've made using Chat GPT. Contracts you've made using MOUs. Everything Chat GPT is doing. Employment letters, offer letters. Things that are not value-added services. Sometimes repetitive work. Just outsource it to technology.
I'll carry this point ahead. We had this institute 2-day conclave on practicing chartered accountants. So one of the very important highlights which came out is that if we are having a profitability of more than 50% of our turnover, excluding the partner's remuneration, it is actually a threat and a warning sign rather than a thing to be proud of. It means that you're not investing in your business. And
Hmm.
taking a cue from that, we have now plenty of softwares to do, like Neha mentioned for Chat GPT. You've got softwares where bank accounts are auto uploaded on Tally. There are softwares and they're not very expensive. They're probably what 5-10,000 rupees. The institute is doing a fantastic job. We underestimated a lot. I would request, people who are looking or have taken the decision to enter practice, please log on to the institute platform for practitioners and see the kind of discounts you're getting offered on various accounting packages and various other services. One very this thing was that, when I joined practice, I used to say, what the institute has done me, that the institute is also should ensure that I get a minimum amount of work to sustain. They're having a campus for, employed people, so for practicing also they should do something. But obviously, once you get the maturity, you understand that in that last mile you will have to walk on your own. Institute is providing you all kind of ammunition with you. Institute is giving you all packages which are, at very very reduced cost. Something like, if I'd say like a tally, I'm just
Yeah,
giving
we get
you
some
broad
discount on
numbers,
Tally.
might
Absolutely.
differ.
Correct. So
50,000
there's
for
a
a
lot
practitioner,
that the institute does. Neha,
so
Nikhil,
get into that.
10 years into practice, any regrets that you are not in job? You're earning less than what your job peers are earning, etc.
No,
No?
you can summarize it in one thing. We know that sky is the limit for us.
Hmm.
We are not looking at a 15-20% growth. The sky is the limit for us. Recently, a lot of people at the recent one of the investor meet said in a state thing that we are at the right place at the right time. So I
Hmm. Next
really
10
feel
years.
that starting a practice today is the right thing at the right time. Couple of 3 points to summarize it, if you will tell me. As I told you, first of all, segregate your expense and your desires. We all have very lavish
Perfect.
desires, but once you know your need, it will be easier. To give you an example, let's say that I know my need is X. So
Yes.
if I have got work of X, I can spend the rest of the time in enhancing my team. So
Hmm.
as a practitioner, it is very important to understand that you have got 8 to 10 hours a day. You cannot outgrow yourself. You have to invest in your team. So in our firm, every month we have mandated for all our employees to enroll into something, a Power BI or an advanced Excel. They have to, because I will grow as much as my team grows. I cannot be omnipresent. Neha can be not omnipresent at 15 clients. So
Perfect.
we need to make representatives of our firm formidable so that they can represent on their own. And how can you do that? By empowering them, by ensuring that like all the latest whatever technology is there in the market, they are also equipped with it. So like she told for Chat GPT, we've made it a rule that everyone uses it. See, the Gen Z is more tech savvy than us. So
Hmm.
fortunately, it's sometimes they who push us to these technologies rather than the other way. If you have
Perfect.
an open-minded environment where you allow your juniors to also help
Yeah, see,
onboard you.
how unlearning is more important than learning sometimes. You need to be flexible. You can't be that, oh, this is how it used to work 5 years ago, so I'm going to work in the exact same manner now and 5 years later. Things are changing. The environment is so dynamic that you have to be dynamic to cope up with that environment. You have to constantly unlearn certain things that you've been doing in the past
Absolutely.
to be able to, evolve. And I think that's the only way to.
So to summarize my learnings from this session, uh, yeah, your point number 2 and 3 very quickly, Nikhil.
So one another very interesting data which I have, which I want to share with you, is that the number of CAs in India as on 31st July 23, the number of ACAs, CAs who are less than 5 years from qualifying, in full-time practice is approximately 57,000, and not in practice is 2,17,000. So probably you've got a ratio of 1 is to
Is
4,
to
1 is to
4.
5.
1 is
So
to
you
4.
can probably understand there is no competition here. It's the reverse. It's the reverse.
Okay.
So
That's
sometimes
number
you do
2.
the
And number
uncommon.
3.
And point number three is build a team. I told you, getting a client is tough,
Hmm.
but building a team is,
What if the work comes and you don't get
the
that
work will come
execution?
by law of average, by law of probabilities. If you're meeting 10 people, if you even take a probability of 10%, you'll get 12 clients in a year. There's no doubt about that. But do you have the bandwidth of executing the work? That is more important. And that
Absolutely.
can be only happen once you have an empowered team.
So to summarize my learnings from this session, if I were to just do that, so here's this bunch of a dynamic couple from Calcutta who had that option to get into those fixed salary jobs. 10 years into the system, they are very satisfied with their journey. They've evolved themselves, they learned from the market. Today, they are a tech savvy firm with a large team trying to empower people, helping them learn. And they feel that sky is the limit. In terms of the data, they're very bullish. That's a very nice thing. I think Nikhil and Neha, people can connect with you on LinkedIn. I'll leave your handles in the description and the comment section. And it has been a very interesting discussion. I think this could prompt more and more people to actually take this path into the journey.
It was our
Thank you.
pleasure having this discussion with you.
Sure.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Nikhil. Thanks, Neha. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. Bye.